Video number 6 in our rough cut, not very polished TableView school, which is a replacement for our in-class lesson. This one is going to handle moving and deleting rows, and there's a challenge at the end. Let's handle moving and deleting TableView rows and related data. And the very first thing that we want to do is we want to set up our edit button. Now for the edit button, we're going to put a button up here. It's going to have the word edit in it, but we're going to change edit to delete to done and done to edit, depending on what was clicked. Also, when it says edit in here, well, we're not in what's called editing mode, so we don't see the ability to subtract, and eventually we'll have little move lines in down here on the side. So we don't have those showing up yet, but when we click on edit, we're not only going to show done so that we can be done with edit mode, but we're also going to dim out and disable our add bar button item so that the user doesn't go ahead and add when they're in the middle of the edit mode. So you got to finish what you're doing here. So this is the code we're going to create. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add an edit button here. We're also going to make sure that our add button bar button item has a name so that we can refer to it in our code. We're going to call it add bar button so that we can enable it or disable it. So we've got to create an IB outlet for this guy here. We've got to create an IB action for this guy, the edit button. We'll also create an IB outlet for this. We'll call it edit bar button. And when we've done this, you can see none of our code is changed in green, so you can repeat this from app to app. Let's go. All right, I'm going to get not into Pirate Planner, but I'm going to get in our student list. Click on viewcontroller.swift. Option click on main storyboard. We're going to add an edit bar button item up here. So click on plus. This will be a bar button item. Whoop. Right in here. Drag it over. Place it on the left. And we're going to keep the option where it says it's custom. And we're going to do this because we're going to change the title. If we were to switch to edit, we wouldn't be able to change the title programmatically. And we're going to start out with the title edit in here. Now I also need to create IB outlets for this and an IB action for this guy here. So for the IB outlets, I'm going to call this edit bar button, an add bar button, and for the action for my edit button, I'll add that just before the curly that ends this class, before any of my extensions start. Control drag over, let go, and I'll call this action for UI bar button items edit button pressed connect. Then we'll write our code to handle editing the edit button. And first we're going to check to see if we're already in edit mode. Now the table view has something that's called its editing mode. So we can just say is editing. It'll be true or false as to whether or not we're in editing mode. We'll open and close curlies here, and we'll perform some things. If we are in edit mode, then that must mean we click the button while we're in edit mode, so we want to switch out from the edit mode where our done button is being shown, and we want to show our edit button again. So what we'll do in here, but what I'll do first is I'll say what will happen if we're not in edit mode. So that will be the first thing that happens when we click on the button when it says edit. So what we'll do here is we'll set edit bar button title to done. We'll make sure that we're in our editing mode. So we'll say TableView dot set editing to true because we were false. And we'll animate that. And we're also going to disable our add button. So for add bar button, dot is enabled, we'll say false. Otherwise, what we'll do is the opposite. We'll set editing to false. We'll change the bar button title to edit, and we'll set our is enabled to true. Oh, and the problem that I have here is I didn't put in an if in the beginning. Sorry about that. And now we should be set. So if we build and run just to check this out, we should see we get in and out of editing mode. And we do. Our plus button goes away. Perfect. But we can't delete anything yet because we haven't put any delete code in. So let's go ahead and do that. The delete code is pretty straightforward. We'll do that right inside of our table view. The function that we write is TableView commit for row at, and then we just update this editing style. It's going to remain the same for app to app, except for the data structure that we remove. Then we pass in delete rows. Again, this is one of those plural ones in here, but the index path is passed in by this function. It's an iOS function. So let's go ahead and write this. So we'll do a commit editing style, and sure enough, we see this value right here, which asks the data source to commit either the insertion or deletion. We're only working with a deletion right here. So we'll say, what is our editing style? If editing style equals dot delete, then we want to go ahead and we want to delete our value in here. So we're going to go into students and we're going to say remove at index path.row, and then in our table view, we'll say table view dot delete rows, and that's also going to be at index path. It wants an index path, not index path.row in here. You need .row when you refer to the index value of an array, but the index path is the location in a table view. And what animation should we use? Oh, how about fade? That's a good one for deletion. And this should be what we need. So let's go ahead and build and run. Here are our students, and oh, the red wedding happened. Sorry, Catlin, but we're going to just swipe left to remove you. Or if we click on edit, we can go down here, and who else can we get rid of? Oh, how about, oh, this is weird that this is one of the odd errors that we're seeing currently in our Xcode. This shouldn't be showing up. This where it just shows Cal Drogo on the sides here. But let's go ahead and get rid of little finger by clicking on the minus here, and we delete that. And then we'll say done in here. So, again, that was a quirk that's in Xcode. Apple has to go ahead and fix that, but everything else is working perfectly in here, and that's not our problem, that's Apple's problem. So, all right, this is looking good. What do we need to do? We need to handle our move now. So what is the code for our move? That's the code for move row at. So the only thing we need to change here is the data structure. We need to create a little holding value for the item that we're about to move. Then we delete it at the source, and then we insert it at our destination. That's it. iOS will actually handle moving items around. So let's go ahead and make that happen. We'll say move row at. Here's the table function, not can move at, but we want move row at. So make sure that you select the right one that tells the data source to move a row to a specific location. So press enter here. We're going to create a value item to move, and we'll say that this is going to equal our array, which is students, and that's going to be at our source index path dot row. Then what we're going to do is we're going to delete the value at that source path. So we'll say students dot remove at source index path dot row. Then we want to insert it at the destination, so we'll say students dot insert. What's our new element? That's the item to move that we preserved up here before we deleted it. And where are we going to insert it at? Well, we're going to insert it at our destination index path. Let's go ahead and build and run and see if this works. Whoops, destination index path dot row. Forgot that. Now let's build and run and see how things work. And Circe is so ambitious she wants to move to the top and run everything, so we just moved her there. This is looking perfect, and if we click on everybody below, we can still edit them. Excellent. You know what's going to happen next. In fact, I should Command A and Command I to make sure that I indent this stuff. Let's see. I'm just fast forwarding where I struggle to try to figure out why my formatting was weird. Oh, this is a curly. That's why it's looking weird. So, sorry, it wasn't giving me an error for that. So when I build and run, I just want to make sure that this is all working. Sorry about that. Get a little slap happy here to the end of the video, making sure that I've got everything. And this is all working fine. So now that this is working fine, guess what you got to do? The same exact thing in our party planner. But it's going to be super easy to do. Continue to update party planner, add an edit button, code an IB action edit button press that will toggle in and out of editing mode just as you've just learned, and also add any methods to handle deleting and moving cells and updating the array values as appropriate. Pause! See if you can do it. Then let's resume and go over to Party Planner. And make sure that we've added an edit button, which is a bar button item. Remember, since we're going to be changing the name programmatically, we want to keep it custom, but we'll change the title to edit. But here's the beauty of what we've done. I'm going to head back to the student list project in the viewcontroller.swift code. I'm going to grab these two outlets for edit bar button and add bar button, copy them with a Command C, then return to Party Planner, paste them over here. We're still going to need to connect these, but we'll do that in a bit. Then I'm going to go down here, and after my unwind, I'm going to make a space for my IB action for edit button pressed. I'm going to grab it out of my student list. So here's the whole IB action with a Command C. Paste it into Party Planner. Now I'm going to get into Assistant Editor mode. So I'm in Party Planner's View Controller. Option click on Main Storyboard. And what I can do is I can find those two IB actions that I just dragged over. And even though this is showing in, like it's filled in here, if I do a Shift Command Enter, they're not highlighting over here. So these values haven't been connected. So I'm just going to drag over to connect them. So there's my edit button connected. There's my add button connected. So Xcode shouldn't be showing circles in here. But now if I move my cursor over, we can see it's highlighting those guys, which is perfect. I'm going to go back down to my... So we just found another error in Xcode. I'm going to go down to this edit bar button pressed, and I'm going to control drag over and attach this to this edit button. So these should be working perfectly. Then I'm going to add two functions into my table view, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually copy and paste them. Go back over here in student list. Let's see, I've got my move row at my editing style I put above my cell for row at, which I normally don't do. So the order of the functions doesn't matter, but this is what I normally do and makes it easier to spot errors like I just did when you keep them in the same order. So I'm going to copy both my commit editing style and my move row at from my student list. I'm going to paste those into my party planner. I get a bunch of errors where I need to make changes. I don't have a students array in here. I've got an array that's called party planner list, so I'll just paste that over. My deletion is going to work perfectly now. What about down here? I've got not students, it's called party planner list. Not students, it's party planner list. Not students, it's party planner list. Let's build and run and see what happens. And look at these values in here. So if we go back again and we say, all right, Sheryl Sandberg, you're the salsa queen. Who's going to bring the sudsy beverages? Oh, let's say, how about Sam Adams is going to bring those? And what if we want to change these? So we're going to drag this to the top. So there's Sam Adams and click on done. Or how about maybe we'll get rid of chili. We'll just swipe left on that. Chili goes away. What if we click on edit and we decide we want to get rid of ham? We don't want a ham in there too. We'll get rid of deletion. Click done. All this is working perfectly. Hopefully you got this, Swifter.